Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. My name is Mr. Dogboat333, and welcome back to Heartline 4. The new one last days of your past, the Siberian national state. In the last video, we kicked the Kemerovans out, and now we're going to go ahead and put ourselves back in, I guess. I guess that's kind of what the analogy is going to be here. Yeah. We are one step closer. And so we're going to go ahead and take that step. Central Siberia under our belt, through no small effort, the Vols has begun to reflect upon himself and the achievements that he has led his people and his party towards. One step closer is the statement that his advisors continue to congratulate him with. They were right, of course, one step closer indeed. But this one step is a big one. The RFP is no longer a small footnote in the history of the city of Harbin, and Radzevsky is certainly no bandit king like his former detractors attempted to call him. Some of the Vols become the man that Russia needs him to be, relying on the Japanese and hopeful for Germans no longer. Russia shall stand on her own, with the brave Vols at her helm. Got all that stuff recaptured. I accidentally, I went to hit record, and I guess my, instead of hitting what you usually do, which is Alt F9, I hit Alt F4. My mind went to a different, Alt, default, I guess. And so, yeah, ended up, goofing a little bit there. So I had to reload the game, but that wasn't too big a deal. And here we are. We can go ahead and put some new stuff. Working towards our new... Let's work on fighters, I guess. First engagements and end to wonders. Alright, we can also work on Cass. Radzevsky dumped his overcoat down and felt the warmth of the bedroom spread through his aching bones. Citizen consolidation power over Central Siberia rejected sleep for regular midnight walks through the bitter winds of Radzevsk, his mind racing with visions of a future. He turned to his bed, and once it looked so warm and inviting, a haven to rest his thundering head and ignore the crushing bleakness of reality. Now just an empty little distraction in the corner of the room. There was much work to be done. The SNR, the Siberian national state, had spread far and wide, crushing all resistance under the glorious expanse of his army. Communist scum had fallen under the treads of his tanks, petty warlords had been eviscerated by the onslaught of his air force, and degenerates had been gunned down by his brave infantrymen. His grand vision had brutally forced its way from the tiny frozen wasteland of Amur through the shattered realm of Siberia. He was Vols of the Russian people, his stagger transformed to purposeful stride, his repressed grimace a twist into a sneer of superiority. Men did not look upon him with apathy or pity, but genuine fear and respect. Throughout the unconquered plains of Russia, ethnic Russians looked towards the impending triumph with joy, while J Bolshevik rats scuttled away in horror. An enticing bottle of vodka was waiting for him. He wrapped his numb fingers around it, raised its parched throat, and stopped. With a grunt, he forced himself to pour out a small glass, which he downed in one gulp. And another, just for good measure. History would speak of the Vols' rise to power as greater than Hitler's, and the story of the RNS greater than that of the German Reich. For the first time in decades, the sting of vodka and bile did not infect his mouth. Only the taste of victory. Spectre fascism haunts the East. Probably want to rush down this, so we'll be past the purge by the time 71 comes around. So I'll do that. We'll start with the second party Congress. Time has come, the Vols has announced, for the second Congress of the RFP. There's been some confusion as to why Congress would even be necessary, especially considering no voice within the party dares to disagree with the Vols' ideas. It's become clear that the continued bickering between Boltov and Shekharev has become intolerable for the head of the RFP. The Vols has called the Congress in order for one very specific purpose, to remind both Boltov and Shekharev who was in charge, and that they would be wise to heed the reminder. With the Vols, no one is too useful or too untouchable. Yeah, it looks like the West Siberian Republic is probably gonna win. Which it is what it is there. We can start coring some stuff. Gotta go up. We'll core Novosibirsk and Tomsk first. Can core one more. I'll go with Kansk. Is this still, this is still Yakut culture. Yeah. I was curious to see if this was gonna change at all, but maybe not. The silence of the room was overwhelming. Party comrades shuffled their papers and coughed awkwardly as they waited for the boss to speak. At last, Rudzewski cleared his throat and scanned his cruel eyes across the room. My sword, Niki. Second Congress of the RFP is now in session. Some of you may be wondering why I would call such a meeting. After all, has the party not transcended to glorious new heights? Has the Union's strength not brought Central Siberia to heel? Sycophantic murmurs of agreement broke out in the room. A house may look grand, it may look powerful, may look unyielding. But its foundations are weak. It collapses in on itself. The murmurs grew loud and the nodding more vigorous. Rudzewski slammed his fist on the table and silence fell across the room. Do you think I'm a fucking idiot? Do you think me blind to the infighting between Bolotov and Shekarev? Alexander Bolotov and Georgy Shekarev glanced at each other with pale faces. Let me make one thing clear. I am the Vost. I am the party. None of you are untouchable. None of you. If you threaten the stability of all we have achieved, your carcasses will be tossed into a frozen pit. History will view you as heroes, or will not remember you at all. You decide your fate. A final ultimatum. Now time for a loyal council and one more purge, it seems. Now that the Congress has concluded, it's become apparent that there are still some within the council who plot the Val's downfall. The original round of purges aimed at cementing Rudzewski's rule was highly effective, but the traitors were much more deeply rooted than previously thought. A much smaller list of traitors, seditionists, and dissenters has been concocted, this time almost entirely composed of high-ranking RFP members. Each name on the list is more prominent than last. But the Vaz has no tolerance for even a modicum of disloyalty. Rudzewski is the RFP, and the RFP is Rudzewski. To wrong one is to wrong the other. Clearly, Bolotov and Shekarev missed some of the traitors in the first round of purges. The Vaz will not make the same mistake again. Yeah, I'm sitting down to just finish this series off. I recorded the last one. Took a little bit of a break to get my laundry out, get that nice and ready. I'm gonna record this, then I'm gonna pack that back to school to get ready for school. In the morning, rather. The party was omnipotent. The party was omniscient, yet the party was not pure. Despite all that the Vaz had achieved, dissent still festered in the upper echelons of the RFP like a disease that kept the hosts weak and infirm. Those who had long doubted Rudzewski continued to scurry through the corridors of power, conspiring behind his back and plotting his removal from power. They wanted someone younger, someone safer, someone more pliable to their whims. The fact that he had tolerated such men for so long spoke volumes to his former desperation. Now, however, it was the time for change. Rudzewski had drawn up the list with sadistic satisfaction. Bolotov provided his own useful contributions, of course, targeting those who were allegedly plotting against the state. From the lowliest blackshirts to highest council members, none would be spared the Vols' justice. Some of the executions would be brutal, of course, to strike fear in any remaining weasels of the Supreme Council, fortunate enough to escape the bullet. Toss them into the pits. Next, we'll do a subservient party. So how's our corn coming along? It's taking a while. I think I might go ahead and work on our reclaimed lands. Our war for the control of Central Siberia was a bloody one, which cost us no small amount of casualties, be they military or political. And so, the Vols has a vested interest in not just extending our administration to this area, but to ensure that it, as soon as possible, falls in line with his vision. To do this, many eggs will need to be broken. The workers, comfortable with generous concessions, must be whipped into shape. The ideological opponents to our regime must be purged, either shot or enslaved. And the dissidents, be they from the highest or lowest rungs of society, must be brewed out and eliminated. Of course, like rats, communists, or Jews, they hide in plain sight, and thus a grand decree of terror must be inflicted upon the populace of Central Siberia. Only at the end of this terror will the area be ready for integration into the all-Russian government. The shouts of protest, the jangle of cups, and the cracks of fire have fallen silent. The paranoia of the Vost has been sated, and his enemies have either fled or been eliminated. Shakarev's blackshirts relax back into their routines of suspicion and watchfulness, and Bolotov compiles new lists for the Vols to examine. In time, more will be put against the wall, and the Vols will find new opposition to fear among even his most loyal followers. But for now, the executions have dropped in number, and the Vols focuses on other matters. Our rural secure. For now. Working on that. It won't shut. Lev panted, pushing down the lid of a suitcase to no avail. He thrust it open and cursed, snatching the doll and throwing it across the room. The lid closed shut. Ivana cried out and burst into tears. Take her outside, he called out to his wife, ignoring his daughter's wails and hurrying upstairs. How he wanted to comfort her, hold her in her arms, tell her it was going to be all right. But he couldn't. Time was of the essence. Georgi was in the same armchair he nestled in an hour ago, resting his wrinkled hands across his belly contentedly. Lev stared at him in horror. I told you to pack! We need to go, now! If it's all the same to you, I'm about to have a nap. Please, grandfather, they'll be coming soon. The black shirts will be coming. I'm old, not senile. I have no doubt these fascist thugs will pay me a visit. Let them come. I've dealt with enough anti-Semites in my time. He saw Lev's desperate expression and sighed deeply. Get out of here, child. Take the family. I'll pray for your safety, but don't fool yourself into thinking I'm moving for anyone. I ran from the Bolsheviks. I ran from the war. I jumped from warlord to warlord. I'm tired of running. He winked. Come on, grandson. Have a good life. The time comes when a man must stand his ground. Could dispatch Black Search or the OOP. But I won't worry about that too much. Let's do a subservient party. Actually, the going time would be nice. Let's dispatch the OOP. Black Shirts as an organization is inherently unsuited for integration in Central Siberia. They're far overstretched in terms of what they're able to do, especially considering the fact that they're already occupied in the Far East pacifying communists and Korean nationalists. The OOB, Bolt-Up Security System Squads, have been drilling for years now in preparation for domestic pacification, and the rooting out of traitors and seditious elements within our territories. While they may not fill the same political role that the black shirts do, they certainly know how to scare straight the population. Got some free dockyards. Work on convoys. Ooh. Burgundy has collapsed. Not a big surprise. The French state is doing their own thing. Flames crept up the side of the houses, engulfing everything they touch. Fire danced in Igor's pale blue eyes as he watched on in satisfaction. The OB officers were throwing torches through windows and on top of roofs, screaming slurs and chanting songs. Igor had no time for such unprofessionalism. Reports had seemed trustworthy. Jews were hiding in the village, sheltered in cellars and on floorboards by traitors of the state. It had been a tiring day, and Igor long since lost the energy to search every single house. Instead, he'd been given the order to smoke the rats out. An old man staggered out of one of the houses, coughing violently. A young man leapt out of a window with a knife and was gunned down immediately. A pair of women fled from their burning houses, screaming, were chased down by a few hooting officers. Flames illuminated the night sky, painting a pretty picture for those alive to see it. The rats go up in flames. Next, we'll do a subservient party. Supreme Council has been for quite some time an issue with the Vaz. They had, at least on paper, the ability to vote on things such as legislation, party membership, and other increasingly trivial matters. Of course, the votes never diverged much from the will of the Vaz, but Rozevsky has always worried that, if they really intended to, the Supreme Council could absolutely veto any progress he would want to make. And this fact has caused the Vaz stress. As such, one of the final actions of the Second Party Congress was to have the Supreme Council take one last vote, to abolish the Council's ability to do just that. Unsurprisingly, the vote was passed unanimously. Got more oil for more aid. Ooh. This is all pretty interesting, actually. We'll do Spear Training Ground. And more oil for more aid. Because we could, our poverty's not doing well. These guys are going a little wild. I am. Let's go ahead and do the dawn of New Russia. Now the party has once more been purified, and the political side of the all-Russian government has been dealt with. The party pacified, the Vaz lieutenants reminded of their place. There comes a new era in Russian history, the dawn of a Russia unadulterated by Jews, communists, and those who seek harm the Russian nation. The Vaz announced the beginning of a new stage in the RFP's so-called Reclamation of Russia. Speech outlined the dawn of a new Russia. He's outlined the final traitors and threats to his rule have been rooted out and dealt with, and while the Russian people toil onwards, he's begun planning for the final step to national reunification. Like all of his speeches, it ended with the RP's infamous motto, for God, nation, and labor. We'll do Kemerova next. From here, we'll go ahead and do general building construction. And better anti-air. Advanced anti-air, even. We'll do the prodigal son. or united vision. There's only one vision for the future of Russia, one vision that's worth talking about. That vision is that of the Vost. Konstantin Brzezinski. He knows the way forward for Russia, and to doubt him would be tantamount to betrayal of a Russian state. Thus, any true Russian would know that they should be united in vision, the Voz's vision, which will forge the way forward for a strong independent Russia, one that is free from the tyranny of the Bolshevik and the oppression of a Jew. Of course, all true Russians would think this, but it is important to make sure that they're reminded of this. In our new territories, the Voz's works shall be distributed and made mandatory reading so that all can understand the importance of the Voz's mission. Well, there we go. Got some new guys. Get the general. Go and get a core in a new place. We'll do Krasnoyarsk. Greater Finland, Dorza. Number of arrests have decreased falls. The tireless efforts of my men have led to a general decrease in subversive activity. The agitators made their presence hidden for fear of a retribution. They were well armed for the industry of central Siberia, and preparations for war have begun. You're sure? What base do you have for the Shekrev? Number of arrests have decreased. Number of anti-state thought and the ranks are decreasing from the small numbers they were already at. Our reign is becoming more secure every day. Bolotov said nothing as the black shirt leader continued to extol his successes. Patience was critical. Voss has little to spare these days, even for his most trusted advisors. Then why are you focusing your efforts on internal matters? Or have you forgotten that there is a war to fight? The enemy no longer lies within, if you have done your job properly. Silence reigned over the office. Poor whisper from Voss. Have you done your job, Georgi? Shekarov stammered for a moment before Zepsky interrupted. Give me a report on the state of armed forces. Now! A hastily stammered affirmation, a hasty exit later. Bolotov and Voss were alone. He still thinks we're in the old days, Alexander. The day enemy within has been beaten down and cannot hope to dislodge us. The enemy to the west is a false and weak pretender to leadership of the Russian people. But even farther west, for German claim a legacy of National Socialism, in which they do not deserve. Their pathetic attempts to uphold their facade will end in the fail in the face of the true heirs. The exiles return at the point of a sword. Go ahead. We'll redouble economic development. Factories of Far East are churning out more weapons of war than they ever had. On top of that, industrial growth in our nation's GDP is skyrocketing. Clearly, the Voz's economic plan, heavily based on the one characterized what was once the economic superpower known as Nazi Germany, is working. But it's not enough. Plan needs to be expanded. Quotas increased, more slaves found, and hours increased further. The system needs to be exported and applied to Central Siberia, where disgustingly generous conditions of the workers has led to them being decadent and expecting that we bend to their desires. Never shall we pander to the legacy of the Bolsheviks. These Reds will learn, at the end of the bayonet if need be, a real work ethic, and the importance of working towards something greater than self-indulgence. We'll do Oritia next. Noticing the Abwehr front seems to generally do better. I think I've always seen them win nowadays. Next, let's go ahead. We'll do the German model. Germans are many things. Deceptive liars, failed national socialists, weak-willed inferiors. However, the Vols would never claim that their economic model, and the only reason that we were able to be so successful for so long, is anything but a recipe for success. The system itself is certainly admirable. Thus, we should continue to emulate the plan, ensuring that we adhere perfectly to the way in which the Vols has planned to repurpose the German model for our own means. And make sure that, like in the Far East, it is applied in Central Siberia to the letter. It may not be the easiest life, Nick, but at the very least you can sing while you work. Besides, the slaves are the ones doing all the dangerous stuff. Remember, Nick, for God, nation, and labor. We'll do that one. There we are. German invasion of Burgundy. Dying loose ends. Curious, what's gonna happen with the French state? Whether they'll get any pieces of this puzzle over here. But in the meanwhile, let's repurpose the Siberian plan. Nikolai Bukharin is a man that lived in infamy, especially the RFP, and had the Vols himself. Maybe Bolshevik and were still influenced by the Jewish Zionist elites, but it's not to say that a stop clock is right twice a day. His Siberian plans, which saw the vast and rapid industrialization of Russia east of the Urals, saw a massive uptick in industrial productivity in places where there used to be none. And now, with most of Siberia under our direct control, this has paid off for us in quite a way. The Vols believe that the Siberian plan and its legacy can be repurposed in order to facilitate the transition to the Vols' vision, reforging it to ensure that we can guarantee that our Russia will be industrial giants. Yeah, why not? We can develop our realm even more, it seems. Interesting. Get Nissan, Fujitsu, some extra energy. Yeah. Need to wait a little bit more, but we got time. Next, we'll take the worthy. Not everyone is fit for membership in the RFP, especially those foreign politicians and warlords that populated Central Siberia. They are, at the end of the day, the die-hard ideologues, and the ones who would swear that they aren't even worse. The would-be infiltrators working to destroy the RFP from within. While the top and middle echelons of former administration in Central Siberia are fit for little more than the firing squads or the labor camps, those below them, the so-called paper pushers, the people denied providence and success by those who were once above them. A thorough examination of these individuals surely turned out some worthwhile candidates for party membership and administrative roles in Siberia. Yeah, sure. Maybe. I'm just happy we finally have poverty, decreasing at a steady rate, and it might stay decreasing. For instance, man's territorial restoration. We'll see what happens here, no? And Germany refuses it. I'm not necessarily surprised. Well, united in practice. The Free All-Russian Army, by far the most successful armed forces Russia's seen in decades, swept across their meek opposition as they moved to seize Central Siberia, securing the cities and burning villages that resisted. The hordes of enemies, many times more numerous than us, now lay defeated and shamed. I would be foolish to, like we did before, simply send these wretches to the labor camps. We always knew that the conquest of Siberia would be difficult, simply because the land we held was much less populated than our opponent's territory. As we go west, things will only get worse. These defeated soldiers will have to be integrated into our army if we're to have any chance at completing the boss's vision. They'll be retrained under the supervision of our officers, their new expectations set properly, and their guns trained on the enemy. Beautiful. And that's it for now, my friends. We're coming up near the end, but we still have a little bit of time before we get there. I want to thank you guys for watching. Like this video if you like it, dislike if you didn't. Leave comments, feedback, and certainly leave a comment section below. I read all the comments again. Appreciate any all feedback you might have for me. If you want to check my various links, I have them down in the description box below. And that's it for now. Thanks always for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.